I'm going to be making $4,000 a month for the next 5 years from just this one deal. Hi, my name is Darren. I own over 100 rental properties and one industrial deal. This is the last video in a 3-part series where I explained how I sold a triplex and a single family home and exchanged it into this industrial deal. In this video, I'll be explaining the details of this deal, how I found it, the numbers, and if you stick around to the end, I'm actually going to explain how you can invest alongside of me on the next ones. Of all places, I actually found this deal off of Craigslist. I made it a habit in my residential years of trying to find any and all properties that were under marketed. And guess what? On Craigslist, it's probably not the best way to sell $1 million property, especially an industrial one. I quickly contacted the owner and I got all the details, including the important part of this deal, which was the lease. So we found out it was actually leased out. So there are two important things when you're looking at a lease: the terms of the lease and also the tenant itself. In this particular deal, the terms of the lease were not that great, but the tenant was a local tenant with an established business, very credible, but still local. Because of the lease, I made it really worth my time and I negotiated really hard and I got a great deal. So I forgot to tell you guys something important, and it's what I call the multiplier effect. So you gotta be sure that you really know the market rent and the market rates when it comes to your property. Because when a property is valued on a cap rate basis, the actual NOI is multiplied. And so I've heard stories of people actually buying a property with a really great rental rate, but not being able to fill it when the tenant leaves. And so it's actually a 1-2 punch. You lose cash flow and you lose the valuation because the cash flow is not there. But back to my property. This one was actually leased at a rental rate of $4.95 per square foot. The median asking rent of Tulsa, Oklahoma's industrial space now is actually up to $6.35 as of 2022. So let's jump into the numbers. The asking price was actually $1.2 million. But like I said, I negotiated hard. So my purchase price was actually $1.1 million. Like I mentioned before in the previous videos, which are linked down below, I actually exchanged into this. So I sold the triplex, I sold the single family home, and I used the proceeds as a down payment. So my down payment was actually $277,000. So that leaves my loan amount at $833K. Like I mentioned before, the terms of the lease were not that great, but the base rent was really amazing. The rent rate on this is $10,000 per month, and of course that translates into $120,000 per year. So basically what we do to calculate is we take the NOI, or the rental rate, which is $120,000, subtract the loan amount, which is $71,000 per year, and we get a cash flow of $48,651 per year. And that's where we get $4,000 per month. Of course, going more in detail, we have about 17.25% cash on cash return, which is an amazing return. Now, once again, you have to take into consideration from the cash flow any reserves, any maintenance, any vacancies, and make sure you hold back a portion of that to make sure that if the tenant does leave or go bankrupt, that you're not stuck with the property and you don't go into bankruptcy. As you can see, this deal is really amazing. I was able to negotiate really hard because the lease terms are not that great. Usually I like to see 2 to 3% increases year on year for every year of rent. In this case, there's only one increase, which is at the end of 3 years, and it's only a 1% increase, which is really low. In some cases, you have to give and take when it comes to these deals. I was able to get a really great purchase price, but the lease terms and the cash flow and the growth of that is pretty pretty much stagnant because there's only one increase. But there you have it. This is actually the last video in the 3-part series. And once again, if you want to check out the other ones, it's going to be linked below. Also, if something like this interests you, I'm actually putting together a newsletter with exclusive deals sent straight to your inbox. So be sure to sign up for that so that you can passively invest alongside of me if you're interested. Thank you.